And welcome back to Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming at foxsportsfm.com. Pat Kerwin to join us coming up in a little more than 20 minutes' time. It's a pleasure to welcome back on the Goldberg Noon and Abraham hotline, goldberg-law.com, the watermelon farmer from Alva, the melon man, Ross Chastain. Ross, thanks so much. How are you?
I'm doing well, guys. How are you?
Well, we are doing great. Big week for you, obviously. The news after the crash of Ryan Newman, and thank goodness that he walked out of the hospital holding the hands of his daughters a couple days ago. But you've been tapped to fill in for him for the time being, starting this weekend in Vegas. First off, the honor for you, and how did it all come about?
Yeah, I mean, just definitely glad that, that Ryan, everything came out good there, and he was able to go home with his girls yesterday, or a few days ago. So, just happy. A lot of prayers from the whole NASCAR community. It's really special that across the whole sport, as soon as we all saw it happen, whether you saw it live or I did not. I had just fallen out of the race and was in the infield care center at the time, and no matter when we saw it, I've seen everything just like everybody else has online, and it's just scary stuff. So it was so good to see, all the outpouring of support and prayers online, and talking with people on my teams. Everybody was just hoping for the best. So, we'll be in the 6 car this weekend.
Well, you were in the 77 car last weekend and on Sunday and Monday. First, before we get to the final few laps, just kind of take us through Sunday to Monday. You start the race, you stop the race, you're delayed for a day. I can't imagine mentally how you prepare yourself for a race, how difficult it must be going through the 24 hours before the restart on Monday. Just kind of take us through that, and how tough is that on you?
It is. You're so amped up. It is by far the biggest race in the sport of the year, the Daytona 500. And for me, I ran it in 2019, my first time. We played the game of attrition with our team. We knew we did not have the outright speed at the time, and so we played it safe, and we ended up with a 10th place finish. It was great. Fast forward to 2020, I'm in the 77 car with Chip Ganassi Racing and Spire Motorsports, and we've got a legitimate shot to go win. We started the race in 20th, followed my teammate Kurt Busch on Sunday's part of the 20 laps we ran Sunday when we were scheduled to, and learned a ton, and was feeling good, put ourselves in a good spot, pretty conservative, but was also aggressive, and the rains came. And so, we had to wait a whole day. So I was actually in a good spot. The car was performing well. I was running with very good cars. I was racing around some other Team Chevy drivers and other teammates, and with Kurt Busch and Kyle Larson. I mean, just for one, that's absolutely crazy for me to say that those are my teammates, just with their status in the sport. And then from there, we just waited around Sunday night. They rescheduled it for 4 p.m. for TV for Monday night, and got back on track and did the same thing. We were able to finish 5th in stage 2, which was awesome. I happened to fall in line behind a group of Toyotas, and had Jimmy Johnson right behind me. So I'm following Martin Truex Jr. if Jimmy Johnson is pushing me, and we are running the fastest laps of the race. And I'm a little, in the moment was a little nervous that I might mess up, but we were able to hold off. Jimmy made a move on the final lap of stage 2, and we raced to the line for 5th. That was really cool. That was a cool moment I was just smiling in the car. Like I know it was only a stage end, but I got to race, wheel to wheel with Jimmy Johnson. Coming down to the end there, we made a move to try to win the race, and it definitely did not work out.
But you had an opening, though. I mean, when you look back and you watch the tape, did you say I wouldn't do it, or did you think to yourself, no, I got to do that again?
I look back at it, and I do feel like that I had an opening. I had the momentum. That's the biggest thing. And I made my move. I passed the 6 car, and then I got to the 37. And there was an opening, like you said. And I stand by my move. It ultimately cost me and a bunch of others a chance to win the Daytona 500 if I would have been conservative and stayed in line. But we had just taken 2 laps to go. I felt like the risk versus reward was worth it, and I just needed a few more feet.
Obviously, as you said, you and other cars went out. We've all seen and heard what happens at the end of races. You said you'd make the safe move. Did you get anything, being a younger guy out there, from any other drivers saying you shouldn't have made the move?
No. At the end of the race, with everything that happened, mine, obviously kind of got, our wreck isn't the one that's talked about. So, just the way there was so much action there towards the end with everybody swapping the lead No, I haven't had. My team stood behind me. They stood beside me right after the race, high-fived me and said, "Go for it every time." Chip Ganassi, Doug Ducart, and everybody at Spire was obviously if we would have made that move on lap 2 of 200, then they would have been upset. But we did it on lap 198 of 200, and that was they felt like that was what we had to do to win the race.
Talking with Ross Chastain here on Miller and Moulton on the Goldberg Noon and Abraham hotline. All right, and then you leave Daytona. And obviously everybody's heart's in their throat, and they're wishing the best for Ryan Newman. Take us through this week, because not only do you get tapped on the shoulder and asked to fill in for him, but, there's 2-3 race teams that have to work together. You got competing car sponsors. I mean, this is truly auto racing in which you guys are highly competitive, sponsors are highly competitive, and it's pretty remarkable to think that Ganassi Racing, Rousch-Fenway Racing, Colleague Racing all came together to make this happen for you and ultimately for Rousch-Fenway Racing.
Right, yeah, I mean, that's what says so much about our sport, that we are all competitors, but when something happens like this and Ryan needed our help, there was no questions on my side or anybody that I talked to. It's enemy lines go down, the walls come down, and we work to help each other, and that's exactly what you saw. I think that Rousch-Fenway has been the race team has been incredibly transparent, and Ryan and his family as well, and providing updates. They don't owe that to anybody. Incredibly, keeping everybody up to date, and I know what everybody else knows. I don't know anything else as to anything in this whole deal, other than I got the call, and they worked it out with Chip and Chris Rice and Matt Colleague and all of our partners and both manufacturers. So it's been incredibly humbling to see it all come together so quick. I actually flew out yesterday morning, or I flew out Wednesday morning at 7:25 a.m. I had something out in Tucson that I could not, change, and that all sides were understanding. We got it all done Tuesday, but we didn't start till after lunch, actually getting the car prepared for me, as far as swapping stuff over, and the team needed time to figure out what was going on, and we were there late Tuesday night, back in the shop 5 a.m. Wednesday morning. And then I ran to the airport and jumped on a flight. So everybody's been incredibly understanding of everybody's time and the timetables. Even the hauler, he ended up leaving about 14 hours behind when he planned to on Wednesday. He was supposed to leave around midnight Wednesday morning, Tuesday night. He didn't leave till after lunch Wednesday. So, everybody, it's affected a lot of people, even outside of, it's going to suck. So we're just happy that Ryan's okay. And, we're just going to all go try to do our jobs this weekend. And, that 6 car has a lot to fight for. Those guys, they've worked really hard.
What's the big difference that you're going to find driving a Ford? You've been driving a Chevy. Now you're moving to a Ford. How much different is the car, the way it handles and those things?
Yeah, I don't know. I've never driven one. So I'll let you know Friday evening.
You're pretty transparent in your emotions, and when you saw on Twitter that Mark Martin just simply said, "Hey, welcome to the 6," that had to stop you in your tracks, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely incredible. That was probably one of the single biggest things that I've seen, outside of the walls of everything of my world to see that. I've met Mark a few times. Obviously, I never did get to race against him, but he's been at the track and we've talked. And you know, I've told him, like, his son Matt Martin racing at Punta Gorda Speedway, now 417 Speedway. When I was 12 years old, they came down and raced. Mark was there, and I just have the vivid memory. That's what fired me. I got the fire lit in me to race, was watching Matt win the Fast Kids race on a Saturday night that we did there, and he won. They threw Gatorade all over him. He had Gatorade sponsorship, and I told my dad, I want to be like Matt. And so I've shared that with Mark, so that he, you know, I don't think he really knew what to think about it, because when we're all racing, we never think about people that are watching and kids that are watching us, and that's part of the other tough thing, is juggling a professional sport and the ups and downs and the emotions, and you know, you get angry or you get sad and you show it. You know, there's kids watching, so trying to balance that is something I've, you know, struggled with and try to be better at. But yeah, to have somebody like Mark Martin say that means the world. It's not under the circumstances that anybody wants. You know, as drivers, it's not how we want to get in a race car, but you know, the opportunity, you know, everything happened, and have Mark reach out and say that, have what Jack Roush has said to me, to just go do my job, just go drive the car, and everything will be fine, is incredibly humbling.
What do you think that teenage kid that was watching would think if he would have been able to fast forward? And, you know, in the last little bit, we've mentioned, you know, Mark Martin, we've mentioned Ryan Newman, we've mentioned Rousch-Fenway Racing and Ganassi Racing. I mean, this seems to be going even fast for you. What would you go back and tell 13-year-old Ross Chastain what's going to happen? And would you believe him?
I would not believe him. No way. My whole goals in life was to be like my dad. I wanted to grow watermelons. I wanted to farm. Wanted to help the family business. Just grow more watermelons, grow whatever we need to do to help the family. And no, I would not have believed. No matter what 27-year-old Ross says, 12-year-old Ross would not have believed it. So.
Well, you're racing at Vegas, a place where a year and a half ago you won on the Xfinity Series. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but of all the tracks to have to start and do this with, I would think this is one in which you got to feel pretty good about.
I mean, I honestly don't know what to expect. We ran second in the truck race, additionally to our win in 2018 in the fall of 2019 in the truck race. We finished second, led a lot of laps, and just got passed late in that race within, I think, 15 laps to go to the end. So that was a tough one to lose that one. But yeah, I'm running the triple again. So we had, obviously, the Xfinity Series is where we are focusing. That's our points acquiring series is Xfinity. We're going for we want to compete for the championship. Nutrien Ag Solutions, and the largest ag retailer in the world, is my primary sponsor there. So that ties in obviously great with watermelon farming and agriculture across the country. And then the truck race, we already had that planned as well. I'm running a limited schedule again with Moulton Sports, which is who we finished second in the championship last year with. You know, it was already shaping up to be a busy weekend, and now it, you know, is definitely more. But I was very transparent with everybody that, you know, Friday especially, my minute by minute schedule will be incredibly busy. You know, the key to a lot of this racing is communication with your crew chief and the engineers. You know, just to drive. Like for me, I just talk a lot to them about what I'm feeling inside the race car, and they take that. They work their computers. They work their knowledge of all their racing experience. So with Scott Graves, the 6-car crew chief, I was very upfront. Like, if you guys decide to go with me, like, just know you're gonna not have me sitting around just talking. You'll have to walk with me to, you know, final practice. The final practice for the Cup Series ends, and 10 minutes later, driver introduction start for the truck race. So I have to be moving. I have to change suits and walk out there, and so that he's going to walk with me. It's it's not easy, but I wouldn't want it any other way. And I think this track is, I like it. Now, if I go have a bad weekend and I'm not fast and I struggle, then being honest, I won't like it anymore, and I'll go back to the old days of not liking it. So, I just, track to track wise, I do view it, aside from Bristol and Dover, those are by far my two favorite tracks, being concrete and high banked. But all the other ones, they fluctuate on how much I enjoy them.
As you mentioned already, now you've got 3 races this weekend, but we talked about the Ford, which you don't know, but how much different would this have been if you'd have been in your normal car for the NASCAR race? How different is that going to be now driving a new car with how busy your Friday is going to be already?
Yeah, so actually this year we had stepped back from Cup racing. So I ran the Daytona 500 with Spire Motorsports and Chip Ganassi Racing. And we also have the Memorial Day weekend, the Coke 600 at Charlotte, planned in that same 77 car. Not the same one we raced at Daytona, but the same paint scheme with Advent Health, a Florida-based hospital chain that, that couldn't have lined up any better to partner with them and Chip Ganassi Racing. But other than that, that's all we had on our schedule for Cup racing. So, we never knew. We didn't expect this, but we never knew. We left it open that if we could, have other races in the 77, we were working on it. But it just felt like the right thing to take a little bit of a step back from the high quantity of Cup races and just focus on some quality there. We have full-time Xfinity. We want to focus on that. So, filling in for Ryan this weekend, like I said, is incredibly humbling. And something that, you can never pass up as a driver. And it just means that, I just have a little less time to sit around and talk at the track. But if cars are on track, I want to be racing. I want to be doing it. That's what I love to do. And that's my career. So why not race as much as you can? I love doing it. And, but I don't know how it would have been different because we were not planning on running the Cup race this weekend. So nothing changes on any other teams, just ours with the 6 here.
Well, Ross, best of luck this weekend. Congratulations on how well you ran at Daytona and for being tapped by Rousch-Fenway Racing to fill in for Ryan Newman, no matter how long or short it lasts. And hopefully we can catch up down the road.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Ross Chastain filling in the 6 car, the Wyndham Rewards Ford, for the injured Ryan Newman this weekend in Vegas. So he'll run all 3 series and a couple of races in a Chevy and then one in a Ford. And since he's driving the 6 car, which Mark Martin made famous, that's why the reference of welcome to the 6 in the tweet from Mark Martin. 27 years old, Mark, and clearly this is one of those when a race team like Roush-Fenway starts calling up the Chip Ganassis of the world and saying, hey, can you rent out your guy to us for a few weeks? That's when you know he's on everybody's short list.
There's no doubt about it. And his humility is just amazing to see because you can hear that he is truly enjoying the ride.
Well, when he talked about just racing with Jimmy Johnson at the end of the second stage, and that's something his fans are thinking watching the race, and he reacted the same way his fans would have if we interviewed them about him running in the Daytona 500, in which he said, I'm in between Truex and Jimmy Johnson, and I'm kind of nervous.
Well, and he is gaining more and more fans. I mean, there is no doubt that this guy is a very popular driver.
Yes.
That run and going for it the way he did in the 500, and everybody knows I'm not a race guy. Come on. But I watched it. I saw it live, and I know that the race fan out there gets excited when they see a guy who is an aggressive driver at the end. That endears you to fans. People who didn't know who Chastain was in the 500 or weren't familiar with him because maybe they don't watch the Truck Series, they watched that and went, well, I'll be damned. I like this guy.
Mark, when he gets his regular Cup ride, which will probably happen next year, he has a chance within 2-3 years of outside of Chase Elliott. I think he could be the second most popular driver. Now, I'm not saying second best, but I'm saying in terms of, those contests, who's your favorite driver and what have you. My guess is the lineage of the Elliott family is going to make Chase the new Dale Jr., but I think he has a chance to be one of the top 3 favorite drivers or most popular drivers on the circuit.
There's no doubt. As you know, my son has turned into a gearhead, and he and his buddies, I've been into Chastain for a couple of years, and now that he's doing well, more people. It's fun to watch because, like I said, he seems to really, he understands it, and he's enjoying it.
You can follow Ross on Twitter at Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain racing all 3 this weekend in Vegas, including the Cup race for Rousch-Fenway Racing replacing the injured Ryan Newman. Thanks to Ross for joining us on the Goldberg, Newman, and Abraham hotline, goldberg-law.com. Pat Kerwin next, Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.